Hey, it is 10 a.m. and I like to start class on time. So welcome to Utilizing RMLS Web Statistics. Again, my name is Lynn, so I'm so glad you guys could join me. This is one of my favorite classes. So yay, I hope you learned some new tricks here. And so I'd like to start with, I sent a document with the email with the link for this class, the statistical report overview document. Hopefully you opened it, but you can find it also under the toolkit if you click on all documents and you search for 1771, you will find statistical report overview, and this document is going to be kind of the guide for going through this 1-hour class. Takes it a little bit to open. So we're basically going to start with talking about the pre-built reports, things that we've done for you, or things that are already kind of just waiting for you to utilize in our system, and kind of show you some of those tools. And then we're going to talk about RMLS Web Statistics, some things you can do yourself, things that are more custom for your marketplace, your neighborhood, areas of interest for you or for your clients. And then at the very end, we will wrap up with how to calculate. We'll do a quick calculation of appreciation in a particular area just to show you how easy it is, because it's kind of helpful to know how to do it yourself. Sounds scary, sounds terrible, but it's actually kind of fun. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of that and get back to my desktop. Okay, and so the first thing I'm going to talk about while I wait for my desktop page to come back is going to be market action. So the latest market action report, it is under statistics over here on the right-hand side. You do get latest market action. It comes out by the 15th of the next month, and you do get an email from communications with all of the market action reports. And if we click on that link, it will take us into that section, Toolkit Forms and Documents, into all documents, but specifically to the folder with the most recent issue, which is the August issue. Okay, and I do have Portland metro area. I already have that open, so we don't have to wait so much for that to load. And let me make it a little bit bigger here for you. Okay, so market action, again, we have it broken down for all of our coverage areas. And so the Portland one, I'm going to start at the top right with the inventory in months number. So for August, it was 1 month, which basically means if all of the current inventory were to go off market, it would be gone in a month. You can see it was down as low as 0.7 in May. I'll show you where to find the archives back in like 2008, 2009, 2010. In some areas, this inventory number was as big as 21 months of inventory, and a healthy, really healthy market would be 6 months of inventory, where it'd be good for both sides of a transaction. And then below that information, it does tell you how that number is calculated. So again, it's just a benchmark number, so you can watch it going up or down just to have an idea of how much inventory there is in the market. And then as you scroll down, you will see the month of the report compared to the month prior, year to date, and then last year, same month, last year, year to date, and then some comparison numbers. So new listings, pending, closed, average sale price, median sale price, and total market time. Okay, so down here where it has, so August this year compared to August last year, new listings, so we're down 4.8%, just a little bit this year compared to last year. And then it's comparing August, the current month of this report, to the month prior. So last year, or last month we had, or July, 4,267, August 3,698, so down 13.3%. And then year-to-date 2021 compared to year-to-date 2020, we are up 7.4%. Okay, so it kind of breaks it down across the board using that same thought process. And then you're going to see for the Portland metro area, current month, year to date, residential, commercial, and multifamily. Again, on the left-hand side, the MLS area numbers. So like I said, this is kind of a big umbrella, big overview. Like I said, when we get into the market trends and market stats, that's where you can take these areas and cut them down and make them smaller and more specific. So again, just big picture, what's happening. And then you do get a lot of helpful graphs so you can see where we are this year, active residential listings compared to the previous 2 years. Total active listings, new listings, again, pending, closed sales going back several years, market time, all kinds of helpful information. And then toward the bottom of the report, it does have the Portland metro area. It's the median sale price map. So in each area, the middle price compared to the highest and the lowest in that area. And again, when you go to the archives and you go back, you can go back to, in Portland to 1992, you can see how these numbers have changed. And then some of the areas will have an additional page. So Portland asked us to add a page that had more information about condos. Some of the different markets have asked us to do some more specific things for them. So some reports will have additional pages. Okay, so Market Action newsletter, again, something you have access to, great resource for information. And then as far as the archives, a lot of people do want to go look at the archives. So I'm going to scroll down in the lower left where you see these little file folder icons. You're going to look for the one that says 1500-1699. Those are just document numbers for organizational purposes. For us, Market Action and Statistics menu. If you click on the plus sign to the left of the folder, it will drop down and you can see the year-to-date issues as well. But then up here at the top, you see archived market actions, and again, a plus sign to the left of its little folder. There are the archives, okay? So if you wanna go back to, let's go back into 1998 just for fun. And if you go back and look at an older issue, think back in the 90s, we couldn't print to PDF, we had to scan to PDF. So sometimes these older ones are a little bit wonky. And again, it takes it a little while to load. There we go. So again, not as pretty, not as much information, but you can see average sale price, not even 180,000 Portland Metro. Again, kind of wonky. Okay, not as pretty. And again, that last page did have that median sale price. We came into Clark County in 2000, so that's when the Clark County area will start to show up here. But yeah, Beaverton 152.5 median sale price, 1998. Okay, so it's kind of fun to go back in time. Okay, so let me close those as we go. Okay, and then we're going to talk about statistical summaries. So if you go up to statistics again, and you click on statistical summaries, I have already clicked on it so that I have it open in a tab so we don't have to wait for that to open. It is several pages long, broken down again by all of our different coverage areas. They did move some stuff that was at the bottom, they moved it to the top. So MLS infographics, you will see those infographics on the desktop in RMLS Web, and sometimes in the weekly email that you get on Monday, the weekly report from communications. And so when you click on MLS infographics, it will give you basically different areas to look at, different months to look at. I just clicked on the Oregon one for August. So it's just, again, a little snapshot for a month for a particular territory that they just thought they would make it available to you. So you can use that, share that if you would like to. Okay. They also, on the statistical summary report, they do have a central lock breakdown by service area if that's of interest to you. And then when COVID started happening last year, people asked to get a weekly listing count for all of our territory, all of our MLS area numbers by status, so you could see each week how many active listings are there, how many coming soon, no showing listings, how many pendings. So you can feel free to take a look at that. You can export to Excel. You know, we're kind of coming out of it, and a lot of people actually last year had one of their best years as far as transactions, which is just crazy. Then they also were tracking average monthly counts, daily counts, and then there is Excel to export that data as well. And I have average number of active listings by month open just to show you. So again, they just gave you some additional pieces of information. And then again, go through whatever territory you're in, whatever areas of interest. You might come through and look at all the different reports for your particular area. For Portland, yeah, so for Portland, I opened the average sale price by month and year, just as an example. So sometimes people will say, well, when was the last real estate market correction? When did that happen? And you're like, oh, I can't remember for sure. You could kind of look at some of these graphs, some of the data, and kind of see when the last spike was, 2007, and then sort of it settled down a little bit, and then we're back on the rebound. Okay, and then all of the data below. So again, take a moment. These things are just waiting for you to take a look at them and utilize them. Okay, and then the next section, we're going to go and we're actually going to do a search. Okay, and I have a search already set up with some criteria, so I'm going to use Count. Count is your friend. If you haven't been using Count, it's going to tell you how many results you're getting when you click search. All right, and I'm on my search results page, and so I see my actives, I see my pendings, I see my solds. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is this show summary box at the top left. Okay, so if you check that show summary box, what it does is it gives you a little gray summary box below each status group. So for my actives, average and median days on market, square footage, list price, and average price per square foot on these 3 active listings. And then I can also see for my pendings, and there with pendings you're going to see average days on market and cumulative days on market. So that cumulative days on market is a grand total. So if it went off market, like it went pending and then it came back on the market, something fell through, it won't count the off market days, but it will continue counting additional days on market if that's applicable. Okay, and then again, average price per square foot on the pendings. And then when you get down to the solds, you also get to see, now you can see what they were, these 9 sold listings, you can see average and median list price and price per square foot, but now you can also see what they actually sold for. So average and median sold price and price per square foot on the solds, which I think is very helpful, especially if you're pursuing, getting a listing in a particular area. Being able to see that kind of information, I think, is really helpful. Okay. And then one other thing I'm going to mention here is just kind of a tip or trick. These column headers are sortable. So just be aware, if you want to sort by price, you can click on price. It will sort them low to high. If you click again, it'll flip them the other way. So any of these column headers are sortable. Okay, and then I'm just going to mention, I'm not going to show you how to do this, but I'll show you where the training document is. You can change your screen, your search result views. You can customize that. So I have one that I called Stats Class, just as an example, and I'll show you where the training document is. So I have that set up to show me the current price, the original price, price per square foot, square footage, days on market, list date, year built. So you can customize your search result columns, and the training document for that is up under Help when you're on search results, and it is this one, Customize Your Search Results. And we do teach that in the webinar that is called Navigating and Customizing Search Results. We go through how to do that step by step, but that training document is really pretty much step by step with screenshots as well. Okay. And then back to this class. So the other thing we want to look at this point, besides show summary, actually one more thing before I go to this other report. If I forget what was my criteria, I can't remember, up here at the top left, you do have the ability to open up and see your search criteria. So if you can't remember, I think that's helpful. Okay, and then the next thing on our statistical report overview we're going to talk about is on the Select Report dropdown. Okay, and notice it automatically checked all records for me. I did not check them, so that it's helping me out. So it used to say you forgot to check properties, you'd have to go check them and then go back to your report. So summary only is the report I'm going to select. And so summary only is going to, again, show me my actives and even a little more information. So high, low, average, median, days on market, average and median square footage, and then high, low, average, and median list price. And again, average price per square foot. And then on my pendings. And then with the sold, what I think is beneficial here is on the left-hand side, it is showing me the sale price compared to the original list price as a percentage. And it's showing me the sale price compared to the final list price as a percentage. So I can see if there were price changes and it's the same number in both places. So anyway, so they're selling for more than they're listed for in this particular area. And average days on market is 4. I mean, the high day on market is 11. So again, that inventory number, inventory is really low. It's a great time to list a house right now, right? And then at the bottom, again, you get a combination of whatever status groups above. I get a little overview of all of those. So a lot of people will print this out or create a PDF and include it with a CMA, a market analysis conversation when you're trying to get a listing. Okay. And a lot of people don't even know that report is there. And one other report, as long as we're here, that I really like, just FYI, is the comparison report that a lot of people haven't ever looked at. And that comparison report shows you 3 of the same status at a time next to each other. So you can see, again, the first picture, you can see the list date, you can see the original list price. Why is it spinning? There we go. Okay, so kind of side by side. So for my brain, this works pretty well. So instead of looking at an agent report, you know, and having to look at the top left for this, the bottom right for that, it kind of gives you a nice overview side by side, again, by status. Okay, and then when you get down to solds, okay, it's going to tell you, you know, the sold price, the original list price, the final list price up at the top. So some helpful information becomes available there. Okay, so that's kind of all the stuff that's waiting for you to use that's kind of just already there. Just trying to make sure you're aware of it. And then this isn't in the statistical report overview, but I like to mention it. So statistics Central Lock Access Report. So every Monday in that weekly report you get from Communications, it gives you a little graph of lockbox activity for the week, and did it go up or down for Washington and for Oregon compared to the week prior, and then you can kind of see a little graph of activity over time. Sometimes people ask where they can get back and see those, so that is available under statistics as well. Okay, excuse me, and now we're going to talk about, again, statistics, and we're going to go over on the left to market trends. Okay, so market trends, I'm going to hit clear because I've got all kinds of stuff filled out. So market trends is helpful if you're going to talk to somebody in a part of town that you don't know very well. You just want to kind of get an idea, what does that part of town look like as far as, just general real estate, the market, that sort of thing. So this particular report, so remember the little phrase, if it's blue, you must do. So required either the MLS area number or numbers. And remember, you can click on area list, hold down the control button and pick random areas, or left click and slide with your mouse to highlight consecutive areas, or you can just type in an area number. It can do a maximum of 5 area numbers. If you have more than 5, it will tell you in red that you have too many area numbers for this particular report. Or you can pick county, okay? And based on the area number you select or the county you select, the city list will update to the cities that fit into the area number or the county that you entered. Okay, so I'm just going to do 151, which is Tigard, Tualatin, Sherwood, Wilsonville. Okay, because I don't know much about that area, so I want to learn more. Over on the top right, you can put a price range in, minimum, maximum. Date range, so here you can do 1 month back, increments up to 12 months, and then you can jump 24, 36, all the way out to 72. The farther back you go, the tinier the font gets on the reports, the graphs. So I think let's just look at a year, just out of curiosity. Bank-owned short sale, yes or no, if you ever need that. That isn't used as much as it was back in 2008, 9, 10. City, zip code, lot size, again, whatever additional information you want to put in. And maybe I just want to know detached. I just want to see what that area looks like in general. So I'm just going to pick detached, 12 months back, area 151. Okay. Market Trends does not have a count button. It has a search and it has a save as. So ultimately, if you set up this search criteria and you're like, oh, this would be great, I can run this report once a month, once a quarter, take a look at what's happening, feel free to save it. There is a save tab at the top left, and you can save up to 50 different sets of criteria. So you can just click on the save name and rerun a report anytime you would like. Okay, so I'm going to click search, because I kind of want to see, what does this report look like? What is it telling me? So 12 months back, area 151, just detached, total listed 2,433, total sold 2,281, and then minimum, average, median, maximum sold price, quite a range, 207,500 up to almost 4 million, holy cow. Total active units currently 160. Units sold divided by months back. So units sold 2,281 divided by months back, which is 12. So an average of 190.1 units sold detached per month in this 12-month period. And months of inventory, again, the average over this 12-month period is 0.8. Okay, so it's that benchmark number. Okay, and then we can see listed units is the solid blue line. And usually listed units will be followed a little bit later by a little bit of a spike in pending units. And then a little bit later, there'll be a little bit of a spike in the sold units, right? Because that's the order that they go in. They get listed, they go pending, and then they go sold. Okay, so I can kind of see, as we have heard, it slows down a little bit in the winter, gets busier in the summer, and that looks to be true. Average and median price by month. So again, the report is called Market Trends. If you laid a ruler on this, you'd see it slowly moving up, average and median price. That's showing you the listed price and the sold price. And then the average sold price percent change. And so this is compared to the same month 1 year prior. Okay, so overwhelmingly positive average sold price percent change. And then average and median cumulative days on market by month. So that grand total days on market, again, the trend generally going down. Okay, and then this minimum, average, median, max, this is just a graph of those sold prices that were up at the top in the middle, with that almost $4 million one being the highest. It's crazy. All right, and then we have the data based on what we asked for. So the listed units, the volume, the average and median for a particular month, the pending units, and then the sold, how many units, total volume, minimum and average sold price, median and max, and then that percent sign. Again, if I have a brain cramp and I can't remember what that is, if you click on these little headers, you'll see a little question mark, and if you click, it'll pop up and tell you that's the average sale price percentage. So again, basically September 2020, they sold for 18.25% more than they did in September 2019, than a year, same month a year prior. Okay, and then days on market, cumulative days on market, average, and median. Okay, and with this report, you do have a print button at the top right. You can just print that out. Again, for your own records or to share with a client, you can create a PDF. Export will let you export all of this data down at the bottom. If you are a whiz at Excel and you want to do your own fun pie charts, 3D graphs and all kinds of cool stuff, you can export that data to Excel and do whatever you'd like to do. And up at the top left, there is a help button. There is a tutorial, but this document I think is helpful, the statistical calculation definitions. This document has all of these little column headers, all of the little things you can click on and read about. They're all printed on one document for both market trends and market stats. So some people like to just know they can have that available, and you can highlight it and write notes on it and whatever. Okay, and if we decide we want to revise our search, we want to put in something a little more specific besides just detached. You know, maybe we decide we want to know about 3-bedroom. You can come back, make a change, and just search again. Okay, and see what that does. You know, it reduces total listed 983, total sold 909, maximum sold price 3.3 million. Wow. So again, you can just quickly modify and see whatever is helpful for you, or in a conversation you're having with a client to help illustrate whatever point you're trying to make. Okay, so that's market trends. Okay, and then under statistics, the next thing we want to talk about is market stats. So market stats actually has 4 different reports. I'm going to start with the comp summary report. I think that's the one probably you would actually use more often than the others. I'll show you the others. But comp summary, this would be a really quick way to do a super fast CMA, little market analysis. So if you're going to go meet somebody at their house, they're talking about maybe wanting to list their house. Ultimately, they would like you to do a CMA, an official market analysis for them. But before you go, if you haven't been in their house yet, you could come in and do this quick little comp summary with basic information. And have an idea. So let me pick an area number. Let's stay with that 151, and let's say I'm going to do sold date January 1st through today. So year to date, sold date. You can put in any date range you want. Okay, it's detached. Again, let's say it has 3 bedrooms, and square footage. Let's do 2,000 to 3,000. So put in some basic information, and maybe you're built 1990 to 2005. Okay, put in some basic information. Okay, and this particular report, you will notice it will not let you check any other status other than sold and sold not listed. And sold not listed, the way those get into the system, quite often those were for sale by owner properties, and perhaps another broker brought the buyer to that situation, and they can capture the data in listing load for a sold not listed property for this purpose, to use it as a comp. Okay, and again, there's no count button, but again, there is a save as button. So you also have a save tab in market stats. You can save up to 50 different sets of criteria in here as well. And then I'm going to click on search. Okay, so now very quickly, I'm going to see average and median price by terms. And so when the listing broker marks a property to sold, they do have to indicate terms. So that's where these are coming from. But I start to get an idea. Here's 600,000 cash conventional, average and median pretty close to that. Okay, so I start to get an idea if this house is similar in condition and everything to the ones that sold year to date. I get a starting point in my mind. Again, I only asked for 3-bedroom, but I can see how many units sold year to date. Again, average and median price by bedroom. Again, that 600,000 number still there. And then the data at the bottom of this report is first broken down by terms. So the total sold by terms, and then the second set, it's broken down by bedroom. So if you had a range of bedrooms, you would have more of a breakdown. But then total volume, so total list price, add 3 zeros, total sale price, add 3 zeros, average and median sold price. Okay, and then here's that sold price ratio again that I think is very helpful. So again, sale price compared to original list price as a percentage, and sale price compared to final list price as a percentage. So you can see if there was a little bit of a price change, but not much, tiny. Okay, and then again, days on market, average and median, cumulative days on market, average and median. Okay, again, days on market, they're not staying on the market very long. Okay, and then at the very bottom of this report, it's telling me sold by the seller's office, 5 of them, sold by a different office than the seller's office, 71, and a percent breakdown. So if somebody is questioning the value of putting their listing into the MLS, this might help convince them that putting it into the MLS, the cooperative, the buyers are typically coming from someplace else. So it's a great way to get exposure to a lot of brokers and a lot of consumers. Okay, and like I said, you could have this with you. You might even just choose to do it for yourself, to go speak with the person, and then maybe you go do the more formal CMA under our toolkit, or there's a CMA in RPR, there's a CMA in HomeSnap, there's a CMA in Remine. We actually have a class that compares those 4 CMAs in 1 hour. It shows you what they all look like and how flexible some of them are. So that might be a class that might be of interest to you. Okay, and then revise search, again, opens it back up and takes me back to my original criteria. Okay, I'm going to talk about, we used to teach a class, a remote class called Winning the Listing, and part of that was what I'm about to show you. So I'm going to hit clear again. I'm going to leave it on comp summary. So one thing that's valuable is for you to be able to see, particularly if you have listings, how you stack up against others, against the marketplace. So the Portland metro area, according to the market action report, when I leave off Hood River and Yamhill County, the Portland metro is 141 to 152 for the area numbers. Okay, and so sold, sold not listed, and then again I'm going to do year to date. So 1/1/2021 to, oh my gosh, it's almost the end of September. So just in general, so with no other criteria. Okay, so I want to see days on market, average, and median. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. So 20 days on market is the average, and median is 5. Okay, so that's for the marketplace for everybody. Okay, and then I'm going to come back here and say, okay, I want to see what my office looks like just again, you can do for the seller side. So if you the office had the listing, we'll also look at the agent side if you just had the listing, or if the office or you just have the buyer side. If you have both sides of a transaction, or if you have either side, so all transactions. Okay, so I looked up an office broker code at random earlier, just that has Portland listings. So your office code, broker code, does show up on the roster when you look yourselves up or your office up. Okay, so I'm going to compare this office. Everything else is the same year to date. So this office days on market average is 9 and cumulative days on market is 9. Okay, so average days on market for this office is 9 compared to 20 for the general marketplace. And then, again, you could look up your user ID if you don't know it. It's some variation of your name usually. You can look it up on the roster. And so I just looked somebody up at random who had Portland listings. Everything else year to date is the same. And this person, 9 days on market. So they are average as good as their office, same as their office. But again, the whole marketplace was 20 days on market. So it's kind of a cool tool for that. All right, so let's look at these other reports quickly because they're not as exciting. So dollar value by area. This will let me check other boxes, but it's being cranky. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave the sold and sold not listed checked. I'm going to check these others. I'm leaving the area numbers the same, and I'm doing year to date on solds still. If you don't put a date range in for solds, you're going to get thousands and thousands and thousands. And it's thinking. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so this is not a fancy, that's it, that's all you get. Oh, I see the problem. Hold on. I left that one field filled in with a web ID. There ought to be a lot more properties than 2. There we go. So it just shows you a big overview by area number, total number of properties with all of the statuses I asked for, total value, average, and median price. Again, I don't know how helpful that report is. Inventory by property category and area might be helpful. Sometimes people just want to know, how many active listings are there in a particular area. It's a quick way to get that kind of information. Like you're flying in a little airplane over an area and you can see how many, based on the statuses that you checked, how many properties there are, total value, average, and median price. And then inventory by property category. Again, I don't know how much this gets used. Again, high level overview based on what you asked for. Okay, so I personally think market trends and then market stats, the comp summary, those are probably the 2 you would go to the most. Okay, and then we're going to go back to statistics. And we're going to go over and talk about the home sales report. Okay, and so after we've done market trends and market stats, this report isn't super exciting. It doesn't have a lot of graphs, but it does have helpful information. So we still like to show it to you. So it's data that we're providing to the National Association of Realtors. So as long as we're pulling it, we're sharing it with you as well. So you can pick the year, you can pick the month, you can pick the area of interest, and then you can pick, again, whichever specific area or county, depending on which county you click on. Some of these will change. Portland metro area, which includes Yamhill and Hood River. It goes up to 156. And then when you generate report, it's going to generate 4 pages below. Okay, so the first report, 1-page report, is so for August 2021. So it's all of these area numbers sold. And so the price points are on the left. And then residential units excluding condos. So 2 bedrooms or less, 3 bedrooms, 4+ total. And then condos, again, 2 or less bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4+ total, and then total. So people have asked if we could change these price points, but again, since it's data that we share with NAR, we're fulfilling their request by having these breakdowns. But again, you can kind of see Portland Metro sort of where the majority are falling in price point. And then you get to see median and average price. And then you get to see days on market, residential condo total. Okay, so majority, again, less than 30 days on market. Cumulative days on market, again, grand total, again, majority, less than 30. And then types of financing. The second page of the report, again, August, Portland Metro, sold, but now it says year built description, new, proposed, or under construction. So now it's just going to tell us the new stuff that's happening. So listings that were entered as proposed, and then they changed to under construction, and then they changed to new. So they were one of those statuses in August. So again, you can see where new construction is again falling in price point. The third page, again, August, still sold, still Portland Metro, but now year built description, not new, not proposed, and not under construction. So this would be resale, remodeled, fixer, approximate, any of those other year built description, which now is listed when you search for that particular field, it's now listed as property condition, just FYI. So these are existing homes, existing condos where they're falling. And then the last page, fourth page, is the combined report. So it's kind of a summary of the reports above. So new residential, new proposed under construction, next to, again, resale, existing homes, and then total. Okay, and so for most people, again, after they've seen the little charts and graphs and things like that, those are pretty cool for our brains. The one person I had in this class one time that loved this report better than the others, he had been an actuary for his career. He had done statistics for his career. So his brain was looking at numbers the way my brain looks at a graph. So he thought this was really cool. Okay, but there might be times where it's just nice, the new construction aspect of it, to just easily see where those are falling. That might be helpful sometimes. Okay, so now the last thing we're going to do is how to calculate appreciation. And I know it sounds horrible, but it's actually kind of fun. People question my use of the word fun. So I do have a saved search. So Cedar Mill, okay, and so I want to take a moment and talk about how I got this shape. So I'm going to clear the map, okay? Because something rolled out in January of this year, that's a really cool search feature, but I'm still finding lots of people who don't know about it, so I want to show you. So draw on a map, okay? We know how to draw a rectangle, we know how to draw a circle, we know how to draw a polygon, we know how to do freehand, like with a finger, you know, on a laptop pad, you can use your finger. We know how to do those things, but the thing that rolled out in January was this boundary option. So MLS area number, zip code, middle school, high school, elementary school, neighborhood. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. What is that? So I'm going to click on neighborhood. So you're going to see the neighborhoods appear. So if you apply the neighborhood here under draw boundary, if you click on it, it gets highlighted, it becomes a search area. It used to be, we had a layer that would show you the neighborhood, but then you would have to draw a polygon yourself following the lines of the neighborhood, which is, you know, not a perfect science. And guess what? I can actually click multiple neighborhoods. Okay, so you can have up to 10 shapes on our map at a time. So you can either, you know, click or draw, but total of 10. Okay, and so because you're the expert in this Cedar Mill neighborhood, and I look at my criteria over here that I have set up. So I have year to date, 2 bathrooms or more, 2 bedrooms or more, 900,000 or less on price, and condominium. And because I'm the expert in this little area, I know there's a high school over here and a mall over here. I know there are some condos over here that are not as similar to the rest of this area. So I'm going to draw a circle over here. And I'm going to click on this little button up here that says exclude. Okay, and then notice what happened. My circle I drew a pretty big circle there, but it turned red. Okay, so when I go to do my search, let's click count first. So when you click on count, when you have the map open, you're going to, again, see blue dots within your search area, and I'm going to see little kind of brown dots, other listings that match my criteria, but they're outside. Or if there were any that were in this red circle, they would be brown as well because I'm excluding them. Okay, so we're going to do our search. Again, sold year to date. So I'm going to compare year to date condos in this area compared to last year. Okay. So I'm going to click search. Again, that shows summary box is still checked. It stays checked until I choose to uncheck it. And we're going to scroll down, and the number that we want is the average sold price. So $373,004 for condos year to date. Okay, so I'm writing that down. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back. And so whatever area you're choosing to do this for, now we're going to come back and everything is going to stay the same except the sold date range. Okay, we're going to change that to 2020. Okay, so year to date 2020. Okay, everything else is the same. Count. And so now you can see inside my exclude circle, there are some that are brown that it is excluding. And search. Okay, and I'm scrolling down, and average sold price last year, $321,356. So 321,356. Let me write that down. Okay. Okay, and this is in your packet. So we're doing, and I do have an Excel little sheet that I'm going to show you. There it is. I made a little spreadsheet to kind of help this make more sense. Okay, so average sold price most recent time period. So 2021 year to date was 373,004. Okay, minus average sold price previous time period. So 2020 year to date was 321,356. Okay, so you're taking the current time period, whether it's a year, a quarter, a week, a day, whatever you want to do. You're subtracting the older number for the older time period. You get the difference, okay? And then you divide by the older average sold price. So you divide by the 2020 number, 321,356. And so appreciation for condos, 2 bathrooms or more, 2 bedrooms or more, Cedar Mill, just over 16%. Okay, So I think it's just good to see how to do that. Again, it is in your packet, kind of talking about the newer time frame minus the older time frame, the difference divided by the older average sold price. Okay, so that is utilizing RMLS Web Statistics in 50 minutes. If you get stuck and you have a question on any of this, feel free to touch base with us, okay? So happy Friday. Enjoy the sun while we have it. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome. Have a great day.